While playing Marvel Rivals, you can definitely see that some of the abilities these heroes have are very similar to heroes in Overwatch, and being a Black Panther main in Marvel Rivals, I can't help but see the similarities to Genji. So I wanted to answer the question of who is the better character. Some of the things I'll be looking at are the abilities, the gameplay, as well as look a little bit into their lore and find out who is better. So I hope you grab your popcorn, enjoy the video, and now let's have a discussion. So the first thing I want to go over is their abilities. Starting off with Black Panther, his whole mechanic is marking people with either his spear, his spinning kick, or his ultimate. Using his dash or his sprint run on any person with these marks will allow you to get the dash back immediately. Because you can spam these dashes so much, I can't lie, it's pretty awesome seeing the enemies trying to track you when you're just being that annoying mosquito zipping all over the place, doing damage and killing people in the blink of an eye. Not only that, but while you're doing that, your ultimate can also just refresh your dash instantly without needing to hit a vibranium mark target. Black Panther can also wall climb and double jump, and he has a really cool passive where the lower health he is, the more damage he does. This is really cool because if you do get hit while you're dashing everyone, you're gonna do way more damage, which can potentially give you outplay potential. You can play even more aggressively if you have magic on your team, which gives him a tracer recall essentially. Now I know I went briefly into his abilities, but if you want a more in-depth guide, I have a pretty good Black Panther guide on my channel, which you should check out. With all this being said, I'll get into how I feel about Black Panther's abilities very soon, but now let's move on to Genji. Now, unlike Black Panther, Genji has shurikens for range damage. These shurikens can either be shot in a straight line or in a fan, shooting 3 at a time. Now, what's similar to Black Panther is his dash, but rather than marking people to get this dash back, he gets kills to reset his dash cooldown. Aside from that, he can also deflect abilities with E. I think this is probably the coolest ability because it's really a screw you button, and at the same time it also helps with your survivability. It's a really powerful ability that can deflect even ultimates, but at the same time it can be very easily countered, so you have to really think about it when you press E. Then lastly, we have his ultimate, the Dragon Blade, which I think I speak for a lot of Genji players, but popping this thing makes you feel like an absolute god. Especially when you execute everything perfectly. I don't think there's anything that can compare to getting a 5k or 6k Dragon Blade. But now that I've gone over all the abilities for both heroes, what do I think? I think looking at just the abilities, Black Panther's mechanic is very unique, as well as being very fun. Seeing all those marks and going dash 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 is very addicting and pretty effective. He also has great movement options with his double jump wall climb, as well as being able to turn in any direction with his spinning kick. The only thing that I think is lacking in my opinion is his ultimate. Now it does make sense for his kit as it also gives you a free reset and does pretty good burst damage. And it is good that you can mark people as well with this ultimate and get a free dash, but that's kind of just where it ends. You're literally just dash the character. Now, like I mentioned before, this isn't a bad thing and it's actually very fun, but it's like if you're watching a gold Black Panther play him and watching an eternity Black Panther play him, is there really that big of a difference? Now moving on to Genji, not having a double jump on a cooldown is definitely a plus, but having to get a kill to reset his dash is not a plus compared to Black Panther. Where I think Genji gets the advantage against Black Panther is his deflect and his ultimate. Deflect is probably one of the most skill expressive abilities, as your timing and aim need to be on point to get the most value out of this. I think the shurikens are also a bit better than Black Panther's spears because, I mean, you have an unlimited amount of them, and I do believe that Genji's ultimate is definitely way better than Black Panther's ult. It definitely sounds cooler because I'm a weeb, but it also has very high playmaking potential. I would also like to make the same comparison from a gold to an eternity player. Obviously in Overwatch terms, I do believe there is definitely a very huge difference from a gold Genji player to a grandmaster Genji player, as something like the one-shot combo on Genji is really satisfying. So overall, I do believe that Genji does have better abilities than Black Panther for this section of the video. But now I want to talk about who I think would win in the fight and a little bit of each character's backstory. Now, in terms of the lore, I'm not a Marvel head, so correct me if I'm wrong, but T'Challa or Black Panther is the king of Wakanda, who is both a king and a superhero, and often has to balance the duality of being a king and a warrior at the same time, as well as how Wakanda's resources and traditions should be used within the world. And because of the heart-shaped herb, he has super speed, strength, and agility, along with his vibranium suit, which can absorb kinetic energy and push it out to his enemies. Genji, on the other hand, was a part of a criminal organization, and because of conflicts was killed by his older brother and saved by Overwatch and made him into a cyborg. Because he's a cyborg, he also possesses super agility, speed, and strength, and a dragon blade which helps him channel his inner strength and unleash amazing powers. Genji often reflects upon himself with self-acceptance since, now he's a cyborg, along with redemption with his brother. Now, the fun thing I would like to talk to y'all about is who do you think would win in a fight? Personally, I think Black Panther would probably win in the fight due to the vibranium suit, which makes him almost untouchable in the fight, since Genji's shurikens and sword won't do that much damage. Black Panther also seems to be a very good strategist compared to Genji, where Genji is seen to be more impulsive. So for the lore, I gotta give a point to Black Panther. But now with all that being said, I want to move on to the last part of the video, being the gameplay for each character and what they can do against their counter picks. Now, I think that Black Panther's neutral is a bit better than Genji in my opinion. Unlike Genji, he can dash a ton of times, get a lot of burst damage on multiple people in a couple of seconds, and there's a lot of survivability in getting overshields and even his own damage boost when he's low on health. And while all that sounds good, I do think there are some flaws with Black Panther. For example, if they have Penny Parker or Namor, you would have to go in and melee the Penny Parker traps or waste your spears, which won't even kill the trap at all. On top of that, Black Panther really struggles against flying characters, because yes, you can land a spear on them in the air and go for a dash, but how realistically is that gonna happen consistently? But when the stars are aligned and people don't counter swap, you are a menace as a dive character, especially against people that aren't very mobile. Now, similar to Black Panther, Genji also has a very counterable kit. Going things like beam characters, turrets are all problems that Genji wants to avoid, but at the same time, Genji has an actual projectile that he can use to take down these turrets, or even try to go for any of the flying characters. And while it's also not as consistent compared to going a hit scan, if you are better, you can make it consistent and go for flying characters, since you have a projectile compared to having two limited spears. You also have a lot of counterplay to things like sleep dart, flashbang, or just melees in general. And once again, going into the ultimate, Black Panther only uses this really to confirm kills or get his dash back, whereas a lot of Genji players will tell you his ultimate is bad. It has a lot of playmaking potential, and even if you don't get a kill with it, it will usually get a lot of cooldowns out and even ultimates. Now, Black Panther can honestly do the same, as a lot of the times when you're dashing back and forth at people, you can usually get something like a Luna ult out and save your ultimate to confirm a kill. Now, in general, both of these characters are dive heroes and are both pretty annoying to go against, but the ways that they do it are very different. As mentioned, when the stars are aligned on Black Panther, he can absolutely take over a lobby compared to Genji, with much more ease as well. But I gotta say, when people choose to counter swap you and go Penny Parker, Iron Man, Namor, I can't help but feel the need to swap, or else I'm gonna get zero value. But on Genji, I feel like that I can force the pick a lot more often, even if I'm getting full countered by a whole beam team, turrets, or even flying characters, because I have access to an unlimited projectile. So while Black Panther's dash is better, the rest of Genji's abilities outclass him. So now with all the points tallied up, I gotta give the edge to Genji in being the better character. But that's just my take, so I would want to know, what do you guys think about this? Do you think that Black Panther is better than Genji overall? Or do you agree with me? Feel free to argue with me in the comment section below. And if you like this video of me comparing Overwatch characters to Marvel rival characters, let me know by liking the video, as well as subscribing so that you don't miss out on any future Marvel Rivals content. And with all that being said, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Peace and love, baby.